All right, Nathan, in summation, Florida State wants to leave the ACC, citing effective fraud in the grant of rights and a blown out exit fee here. Now, with this, you said earlier, you think Florida State's got something up their sleeve. They're not doing this without a landing spot.
No, for sure. Yeah. And I'll say this out loud. I think, and I'm not the first, obviously, but we have been talking about it for a long time. It has to be the Big Ten at this point. In August, it came out that there were some third-party contacts that had gone through and said, hey, would you take us? What do we need to take? AAU, is that a necessity? And we found out it's not.
Right.
So I think the Big Ten is sitting there in a catbird seat, and they can actually come in and offer Florida State a lot less than they might be worth, just like they did with Oregon and Washington. They might get Florida State at half a rate. And for the Big Ten, that's a steal twice a day. And it adds access for recruiting now into the Southeast, which is going to really piss off the SEC. So I think that's where they're going to end up. The SEC is at 16. Do they need to expand? Really? Let's talk about that. Do they need a Clemson? They're already in South Carolina. Do they need Miami? No, they've already got Florida. So North Carolina is the only state they don't, or Virginia. North Carolina and Virginia, the only two states in the Southeast that don't have an SEC brand. So those are the ones that people are going to focus on. Certainly they're not going to go past 20. I think the SEC might get 2 if they can pry away Virginia and North Carolina. And then I wrote this right before your show on Twitter. Notre Dame. If you're Notre Dame, what are you thinking today? You really need to make a decision. Jack Swarbrick needs to get with his priests and the other people he's dealing with in the Golden Dome there and figure out where do they really want to be. They wanted to be in charge without having any responsibility forever, but that time is now ticking by, and it's getting to a point where they're going to lose power. If Florida State leaves the ACC, they could stay in the ACC and prop it up, but why should they want to do that? Just to keep their precious freedom? I don't know. I think that Florida State and Notre Dame are going to end up in the Big Ten. How quickly that happens, I'm not sure. I think that 2025 horizon looks good. But the SEC is in no rush to sign any of those other schools.
There's one conference that you left out, and that would be the Big 12. And most people have left them out. And you and I said on this show 11 days ago that Florida State is not coming to the Big 12. But now Brett McMurphy throws the Big 12 name in the hat. You know, one of these big talking heads throws the name in the hat, and people start to stir. I can see the path where Florida State gets to the Big 12. Do you see a path? Is there something there where, hey, maybe at the end of the day, this finds a way to work out?
Sure, anything's possible. I mean, Florida.
I love it. The answer is yes, on the basis that nothing is impossible, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of right. I mean, pigs can fly and all that fun stuff. I mean, sure, it could happen. Brett Yormark is a wheeler dealer, and if he can do anything, we do have to picture there is this one outlier. I would say 5%. Brett Yormark gets Florida State in a room, or the reverse happens. Florida State gets Brett Yormark in a room. Now that this has happened, and he's like, okay, what can you give us? What could we possibly put together? And if Florida State can come to the table and say, hey, look, if we can go to ESPN and we bring Clemson, we bring Miami, and we bring, I don't know, UNC to renegotiate the deal for the Big 12, now all of a sudden the Big 12 could go from a 31.7 to, oh my gosh, now you're looking 55 million a year just for the Big 12 rights. Sure, that could happen. Do I think it's going to happen? I just don't see it. Now, those other schools that'll be a different show, but we can talk about where those other schools will end up. But Florida State has to know that they have bigger fish and a bigger home. Big 12 people should not feel bad. Just because Florida State is turning its back and saying, no, not today, doesn't mean they're saying the Big 12 sucks. Just means the Big 10 is eating bigger. And that's where they're at.
Yeah, The Big 12 is not the sexiest pick of the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10.
No.
That one's obvious and can go unsaid. But you're right. In the event of Florida State bringing a pack and saying we want to create our own super conference separate of the Big 10 and the SEC for whatever reason that may be, then you open up the opportunity. And maybe it becomes geography. How many traditionalists are in the room when you consider Rutgers and Florida State being a conference game or Florida State and UCLA being a conference game? There are things like that could work in your favor, but at the end of the day, it's about money. And in this scenario, if Florida State cannot make the same money in the Big 12 as they could the Big 10, then it's not going to pan out. There's no reason to go through all this trouble in breaching the grant of rights or suing the grant of rights. And Nathan, to me, I just don't. If you're Brett Yormark, are you shooting that big? Are you shooting for the biggest fish, or are you trying to fall with a Pitt, or even if you're lucky in Miami?
I think Pitt and Miami would be fantastic. I don't think those are throwaway picks at all. No. If they got a Virginia Tech or Louisville or NC State, those would be brilliant brands to bring into the Big 12. But if you're Florida State, you're looking at, you could play games in Provo, Utah, or you could be playing in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania against Penn State, or you can be playing in Columbus and Ohio State, or you can be playing in Ann Arbor at Michigan. Yeah, that travel sucks, but you're playing in Ann Arbor in Michigan, and you're getting people you could get a 20 million game in the middle of the season. And that many people could be watching a regular season game. It could be that important. So again, this is about perception. It's about realization and visualization. And they visualize themselves up with those other schools.
Holistically, Nathan, I know we've gone way over time. Holistically, is this the fourth, or it's not the first, you'd be foolish to say it's the first. Is this the fourth or fifth domino to fall in the creation of a power 2, a power 3, or even what Chuck Baker has talked about, having this elite level of college football where only a certain amount of teams compete for the best?
I think it's A3 world, and the ACC can hang on if Notre Dame stays true. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, that's a big if, too.
I don't know. At this point today, the world's different than it was yesterday.
Yeah. Nathan Brown, Big 12 Mafia. I know that you'll be all over this and have been all over this. I just want to take 1 second here. It feels gratifying today to sit back and see the big names and the big faces tweet out all the stuff that we have predicted, that we have talked about, that we have broken down in the weeds for months now, for the amount of comments and messages that we've all gotten of give it up, guys, this is never going to happen, or stop talking about fantasies, or this X, Y, and Z, you're all idiots. Today feels pretty good.
I actually look, you do this for a living professionally. This is something I'm coming into, as I've always wanted to do this type of thing since I was a little kid. That was 45, 50 years ago. So I appreciate that I've had this forum, but boy, if you put in the time and you're willing to work and you listen and you network and you get with people like yourself that are friendly and want to engage, boy, there's so much out there. And I believe, in my opinion, in another 10 years, those reporters that you've just talked about, those formal organizations are going to cease to exist, and the reporting is going to be at our level because we're the ones that are closer to the actual work getting done. And look, we warned the ACC all year last year. We warned them that the Pac-12 death, or even the struggles they were going through, were coming to ACC land, and nobody believed us. No, it'll never happen to us. We warned them. The Big 12 people told the Pac-12 before that. And it's just the ACC is unfortunately the last one to have to pay this price. If they had done this first, then they would be the ones in the catbird seat sitting back and eating, and enjoying the day. But they're last, unfortunately, and it's going to be probably most painful for them. Yeah.
That's where we sit. And you mentioning that, the long string of dominoes that have gotten us to this point, of course, I'm going to say this on my behalf and maybe even speak for you. A good portion of this is just business common sense.
Right.
It's less having to go and dig and find resources and more, wait a second, let's just look at the numbers of how Florida State's being shorted for the university and brand they are in comparison to even Big 12 teams that are making, like a Cincinnati, who's getting paid more in a TV deal than Florida State. It's just common sense that at some point something had to break. And I'm glad that we've had the common sense to be in the trenches for it. Nathan, how can folks find your stuff?
Big 12 Mafia. You can see my name there, a Twitter handle, or you can find me on YouTube. Just put in Big 12 Mafia and we'll pop up. I got a team, Immaculate View and Moen Show, and the guy who's on vacation in France. That would be the Wild Ute. And we got a good team. We put a lot of time into this. And if you follow us on Twitter, you will be at the top of all the latest news breaking. We don't break news, but we report other people's breaking.
I love it. That's Nathan Brown of Big 12 Mafia. Drake Toll from ESPN Central Texas. Woo! Be a long week. Merry Christmas, everybody. The content will not stop because this is bombshell news, and the ripple will be felt in the Big 12 for sure. This has been It Always Will Be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Locked on. And thanks to Nathan Brown for being nails as always. Dose Grande.
Peace out.